According to federal prosecutors, construction companies were paying David Motovich as much as 15% just to cash a check. Why would anybody pay that much when a licensed check casher charged less? Because prosecutors proved they weren't just paying for cash, they were paying for secrecy.
Now the business looking clean, money coming through, everybody asking who helped me break through. The tax guru got me thinking bigger now.
I'm Tyrone Taylor, enrolled agent. This is case file 028, the secret $55 million business upstairs from a Brooklyn lumber company. David Motovich managed Midwood Lumber, a family-run lumber and construction materials business in Brooklyn. Downstairs, they sold building materials, but on the second floor, prosecutors proved Motovich was operating in an illegal, unlicensed check cashing business, and many of his customers were construction company owners. Here's how this worked. A contractor would bring Motovich a business check. Motovich would convert that check into cash. That cash could then be used to fund off-the-books payroll. Now understand something. Paying workers in cash does not make your payroll tax obligations disappear. If they're employees, you still have payroll reporting and employment tax responsibilities. But Motovich offered something a legitimate check casher couldn't. According to prosecutors, his customers understood that he would not make required government filings associated with large or suspicious cash transactions. And that's why that 15% fee mattered. They weren't paying a premium because he was better at cashing checks. They were paying for secrecy. But there was still a problem: the paperwork. If your construction company writes a large check, eventually somebody in government may ask, "What did you buy?" or "Where did that money go?" Prosecutors said Motovich provided fraudulent documents that could make those transactions appear to be legitimate payments for building materials or subcontracting work. So on paper, it could look like a normal business transaction. In reality, the check could be converted to cash and used for off-the-book payroll. And here's your first tax lesson. An invoice doesn't make a transaction legitimate just because the invoice exists. If the transaction described on that invoice didn't actually happen, that document can become evidence. But this operation went much further. Motovich created shell companies and instructed customers to write checks payable to those companies. Between approximately 2012 and 2019, prosecutors proved that more than $55 million was deposited into accounts he opened in other people's names. That doesn't mean Motovich personally made $55 million. It means more than $55 million moved through accounts involved in that operation. And wait till you how one of those accounts was opened. Prosecutors proved Motovich stole the identity of a low-level worker. He then bribed a banker to open accounts using that worker's identity. Millions of dollars subsequently flowed through those accounts. But putting someone else's name on a bank account doesn't necessarily make the money disappear. It just creates another trail. IRS criminal investigations and the FBI investigated the case. The original criminal complaint showed investigators interviewed construction company operators who had used Motovich's check cashing operations. They also had financial records showing how much money moved through the accounts. Think about what that gives investigators: both the people who can explain the transactions and the records that can show where the money went. And some of that money went to some very expensive places. According to prosecutors, money flowed through the accounts were used for real estate, credit card bills, diamonds, watches, jewelry, Porsches, Lexus vehicles, life insurance policies, and other ventures. But one purchase really stands out. Motovich had a penthouse on Manhattan's Upper East Side. Money from the scheme was used to renovate it, and that penthouse included a private indoor swimming pool. Motovich's case eventually went to trial. After a 3-week federal jury trial, he was convicted on 16 counts, including illegal money transmission, bank fraud, money laundering, aggravated identity theft, and conspiracy to defraud the United States, among other offenses. On November 19, 2025, Motovich was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The judge also ordered approximately $38 million in forfeiture, including his interest in the Upper East Side penthouse and other assets. Here's my That Tax Guru take that I want business owners to remember. Cash isn't invisible, and paperwork isn't magic. Paying employees in cash doesn't eliminate payroll obligations. A fake invoice doesn't turn an off-the-book payment into a legitimate business expense. And putting money through shell companies or accounts in somebody else's name doesn't guarantee investigators can't trace it. In fact, every extra layer can create another record, another account, another document, another person who knows what happened. Your business record should tell the same story as your actual business transactions, because years later, somebody may compare the two. Follow that tax guru if you want to learn how the tax system actually works through real federal cases, real tax crimes, real court cases, real lessons. That tax guru tax crime file story.
Plans and stress and the strategy finally took a stand. Out of business looking clean, money coming through. Everybody asking who helped me break through. The tax guru got me thinking bigger now.